The first rule of the universe: don't touch the humans, they broke it. The problem with humans, Admiral Zoran muttered, is that they don't know they are supposed to be terrified. His first officer, Commander Lyria, nodded in agreement as they watched the holographic display showing a tiny Earth vessel boldly approaching their massive battlecruiser. The impudent little ship, no bigger than one of their escape pods, flashed its running lights in what the humans apparently considered a friendly greeting. "Should we vaporize them?" asked Lyria, her four-fingered hand hovering over the weapons console. The Galactic Council's protocols for primitive species are quite clear. Zoran sighed, his purple skin flushing a deeper shade of violet with annoyance. "No. Unfortunately, Section 7, Paragraph 12 states that first contact must be attempted before any cleaning measures." "But sir," Lyria protested, "everyone knows about the first rule. Don't touch the humans. They are unpredictable, dangerously creative, and completely insane. The observation reports from our scouts have been quite disturbing." Zoran flicked his antennae in irritation. Yes, I have read the reports. Humans intentionally jump out of perfectly functional aircraft for amusement. They consume substances they know will poison them just to experience temporary euphoria. They watch entertainment specifically designed to frighten them. And they are the only known species to have nearly destroyed their own planet multiple times and then celebrated surviving it. Not to mention, added Communications Officer Drex, they have created thousands of fictional scenarios about meeting aliens, most of which end with the aliens either defeated, but befriended, or married. Married? Zoran's eye stalks extended in shock. Human fiction is extensive, Drex explained, clearly uncomfortable. The bridge fell silent as the human vessel continued its approach, broadcasting a message on repeat, "Hello from Earth. We come in peace and friendship." "They always say that," weapons specialist Koro snorted, "right before they start shooting or asking if we want to try something called pizza." Admiral Zoran straightened his ceremonial cape. "Well, the Council wants a formal assessment before they update the quarantine protocols. Let's get this over with. Establish communication, but keep weapons on standby. And for the love of the seven moons, nobody mention that we have been monitoring their television broadcasts for decades." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the interior of the human vessel. A female human with dark curly hair smiled broadly at them, displaying far too many teeth in what they hoped was a non-aggressive gesture. "Greetings. I'm Captain Maya Duval of the Earth exploration vessel Curiosity. On behalf of the United Nations of Earth, we extend peaceful greetings to your species." Zoran cleared his throat. "This is Admiral Zoran of the Galactic Confederation vessel Inevitable Dominance. Your approach to our ship is unauthorized. This sector is restricted to non-spacefaring species which clearly you no longer qualify as. Explain your presence." Captain Duval's smile didn't falter. "We have recently developed faster-than-light travel and thought we'd introduce ourselves to the neighborhood. We detected your ship and figured, why not say hello?" "Why not indeed?" Zoran muttered under his breath. More loudly, he said, "Your species has been classified as Category 7, potentially hazardous. You were not meant to leave your solar system for at least another 300 years. Rather than appearing intimidated, the human captain looked delighted. "Category 7? There's a classification system? It's fascinating. What are the other categories? And who decides these things? Is there some sort of interstellar governing body?" Lyria whispered to Zoran, "See, this is exactly what the reports warned about. Insatiable curiosity. Complete disregard for the natural order." Zoran nodded grimly. "Captain Duval, please maintain your current position while we consult with our superiors. Any attempt to approach further will be considered hostile." "Of course, Admiral. We are just excited to make new friends. While we wait, would you like to exchange cultural information? We have prepared a database of Earth music, art, and literature to share." Zoran quickly ended the transmission and turned to his officers. The Council needs to know about this immediately. The quarantine has failed. The humans are loose in the galaxy, and they want to share their literature. What should we do with them in the meantime? Asked Lyria. Zoran stared at the small ship on the display. Follow protocol. Invite their captain aboard for a preliminary assessment. Keep the security drones on high alert, and someone alert the xenopsychology department. Tell them to prepare for humans. 6 hours later, Zoran was seriously reconsidering his career choices. Captain Duval and her small delegation had not stopped asking questions since boarding. They had touched everything, requested tours of restricted areas, attempted to befriend the security drones, and somehow convinced Officer Drex to try something called high-fiving. And so that's how we solved our climate crisis. Captain Duval concluded her lengthy explanation that nobody had requested. Now, I'd love to hear about your propulsion systems. Those engines must generate incredible power. Captain, Zoran said firmly, our technology is not up for discussion. Now, according to our assessment protocols, we need to understand your species' intentions in interstellar space. Oh, exploration mostly, she replied cheerfully. Scientific discovery, cultural exchange, maybe some trade if anyone's interested. We have got some excellent coffee beans and avocados that I think would be huge hits across the galaxy. Commander Lyria leaned close to Zoran's ear. Sir, the Council has responded. They are panicking. The quarantine of Earth was supposed to be absolute. They want us to determine how humans developed FTL technology centuries ahead of projections. Zoran nodded and turned back to the human. Captain Duval, our records indicate your species shouldn't have FTL capability yet. How did you develop this technology? For the first time, Duval looked slightly uncomfortable. Well, funny story, actually. We kind of found it. Found it. Zoran's eye stalks stretched to their full length. What do you mean, found it? Well, about 5 years ago, something crashed in the Gobi Desert. It was a small alien craft not from your civilization, we think. The pilot was unfortunately deceased, but the ship was mostly intact. Our scientists studied it, reverse-engineered some of the components, and, well, here we are. Zoran felt his heart sink. Are you telling me your species acquired FTL technology by salvaging a crashed ship? That you didn't develop it yourselves? Does that matter? Duval asked, still smiling. It matters, Zoran said gravely, because it means you possess technology you don't fully understand, from a civilization we don't know, and you are now wandering the galaxy with it. This is exactly why the first rule exists. What first rule? Asked Duval. Don't touch the humans, all the aliens on the bridge said in unison. The Galactic Council's emergency session was going about as well as Admiral Zoran had expected, which was to say terribly. The holographic representatives of 17 different species floated above the conference table of the inevitable dominance, most of them gesturing wildly and talking over each other. One primitive species breaks quarantine, and suddenly it's the end of the galaxy. Zoran grumbled to Lyria as they watched the chaos unfold. To be fair, sir, Lyria replied, the humans have broken more than just quarantine. They have also broken several fundamental rules of technological progression, diplomatic protocols, and apparently the minds of our xenopsychology team. The head xenopsychologist, Dr. Venn, sat in a corner of the conference room, rocking back and forth slightly. He'd spent 4 hours interviewing Captain Duval and her crew. They are not hostile, he kept muttering. They are just enthusiastically friendly. It's somehow worse. Ambassador Threll, a gelatinous blob representing the ancient Morphean collective, finally managed to establish some order in the council meeting. Admiral Zoran, your report is most disturbing. You say the humans acquired FTL technology by scavenging a crashed vessel of unknown origin. Yes, Ambassador, Zoran confirmed. And what's worse, they have already begun making improvements to the design. A collective gasp rose from the council representatives. The representative from the silicon-based Krith Dominion crystallized briefly in shock before regaining composure. Improvements? Asked Threll, his translucent body pulsing with alarm. What kind of improvements? They have increased the efficiency by 23% and added what they call cup holders. The council erupted again. Ambassador Threll expanded to twice his normal size, his universal signal for demanding silence. This is unprecedented. No species has ever broken quarantine this way. We established the Earth Containment Protocol specifically because our predictive models showed humans were too unpredictable and adaptable to be allowed free range in the galaxy until they had matured as a species. Which wouldn't have been for at least another 300 years, added the reptilian representative from the Soran Imperium. What do they even want? Zoran consulted his notes. According to Captain Duval, they want to, and I quote, make friends, learn cool space stuff, try alien food, maybe set up an intergalactic streaming service for human entertainment, and find out if the universe has good surfing planets. The Krith representative shattered into 1,000 crystalline fragments before slowly reforming. They want to export their entertainment? The same entertainment that frequently portrays the destruction of their own cities as a spectacle. I'm afraid so, Zoran confirmed. During all this, Commander Lyria had been reviewing incoming reports on her datapad. She cleared her throat nervously. Sir, there's more. Our long-range scanners have detected 13 more human vessels that have entered various sectors of Confederation space. They appear to be following the same protocol as the Curiosity, approaching the nearest non-human ships or outposts and attempting to initiate friendly contact. 13? Ambassador Threll's gelatinous form rippled in distress. They have launched a full-scale exploration initiative without any preparation or permission. That's not the worst part, Lyria continued. 2 of the human ships have already made contact with trading vessels from the Mercantile Syndicate. The Syndicate, seeing profit opportunity, has already begun negotiations for entertainment rights and something called hot sauce. The council fell into stunned silence. So they are already trading, Zoran said flatly. The quarantine is well and truly broken. What do we do with the humans we have on board? Asked Lyria. Ambassador Threll pulsed thoughtfully. We should study them further while we develop a new containment strategy. Admiral, you are ordered to take your human guests to Central Station. Our finest scientists will determine how best to proceed. And if they resist? Zoran asked. According to all our data, they won't, said the Soran representative. You offer them a chance to see more aliens and advanced technology. Based on their psychological profiles, they will enthusiastically agree. After the council meeting adjourned, Zoran returned to the diplomatic quarters where Captain Duval and her crew were being hosted. As predicted, they were ecstatic about visiting Central Station. The hub of galactic civilization? Duval's eyes widened. With representatives from how many species? Over 200 maintain permanent embassies, Zoran said, immediately regretting providing this information when the humans exchanged excited glances. 200 different alien cultures in one place, whispered Lieutenant Patel, the Curiosity's science officer. The xenoanthropological opportunities alone are staggering. Not to mention the technology, added engineer Takeda, who had already been caught twice trying to access restricted technical databases. We would be honored to accompany you to Central Station, Captain Duval said. When do we leave? Immediately, Zoran replied. Your vessel will be brought aboard our ship. We will reach Central Station in 3 standard days. As they escorted the humans back to their quarters, Lyria whispered to Zoran, Sir, are we sure this is wise? Taking humans to the center of Confederation government and scientific research. Zoran's antennae drooped. No, it's probably a terrible idea. But what choice do we have? The first rule has been broken. The only thing we can do now is try to contain the damage. 3 days later, as the inevitable dominance approached the massive space station that served as the Confederation's central hub, Zoran stood on the bridge with Captain Duval and her senior officers. The humans pressed against the viewports, faces alight with wonder at the massive structure. Central Station resembled a gleaming metal snowflake, each crystalline arm housing different governmental functions, research facilities, and diplomatic missions. "It's beautiful," breathed Captain Duval. "How long did it take to build?" "Over 2 centuries," Zoran replied. "It's the product of cooperation between all Confederation species." "And now humans will be part of that cooperation," Duval said, beaming with pride. Zoran's communicator chimed, and he stepped away to answer it. It was Ambassador Threll. "Admiral, we have a situation," the ambassador said gravely. "3 human vessels have arrived at Central Station ahead of you." "That's impossible," Zoran protested. "The Curiosity doesn't even know the coordinates for Central Station." "Apparently," Threll said, his gelatinous form quivering. "They followed the Mercantile Syndicate ships. And Admiral, they have already set up what they are calling a pop-up café serving human beverages in the main diplomatic concourse. Half the station is lined up to try something called espresso." Zoran looked back at the eager humans on his bridge, then at the approaching station where their compatriots had apparently already begun changing galactic society with caffeine. The first rule had definitely been broken, and Zoran had the sinking feeling that the galaxy would never be the same again. As the inevitable dominance docked at Central Station, Admiral Zoran received increasingly alarming reports. The human pop-up café had expanded to include something called a taco stand. 3 human vessels were conducting impromptu cultural exchange parties with representatives from at least 12 different species, and most disturbingly, the station's central database had logged over 10,000 requests for information about Earth in the past 6 hours. "This is unprecedented," Commander Lyria said, reviewing the latest report. "The Krith have invited human representatives to their crystalline gardens. The Krith never invite anyone anywhere." Zoran rubbed his eye stalks wearily. "The humans are spreading through the station's social structure like a virus. A friendly, enthusiastic virus that serves beverages." When they disembarked, Zoran and his crew were met not by the expected security detail, but by a mixed group of Confederation officials and humans, the latter wearing matching T-shirts emblazoned with First Contact Tour 2025, out of this world. "You made shirts?" Zoran asked incredulously as Captain Duval greeted her fellow humans. "We always make shirts," replied Lieutenant Patel with a shrug. "It's tradition." Ambassador Threll oozed forward, his translucent form shimmering with barely contained agitation. "Admiral Zoran, the situation has evolved since our last communication." "Evolved?" Zoran repeated, dreading the answer. "The Galactic Council has decided to formally acknowledge humanity's presence in the Confederation." There was significant debate, but ultimately containment is no longer possible. The humans are simply too widespread already. Captain Duval, overhearing this, beamed proudly. "We are an adaptable bunch. I hope this means we can establish proper diplomatic relations?" Ambassador Threll pulsed affirmatively. "The Council has requested an official human delegation. We need to establish protocols, boundaries, and most importantly, explain why your species was under quarantine in the first place." "About that," Duval said, suddenly looking slightly guilty. "We may have already guessed. Your observation satellites around Earth weren't quite as stealthy as you thought. We detected them about 40 years ago but decided to pretend we hadn't noticed." Zoran's antennae went rigid with shock. "You knew? All this time?" "Well, not officially," Duval admitted. "But there's been a tacit agreement among major governments not to acknowledge the alien satellites. We figured you had your reasons for watching rather than introducing yourselves. Ambassador Threll's gelatinous form rippled with what might have been a sigh. This exemplifies exactly why your species was quarantined. You are consistently unpredictable. Most species, upon discovering they were being monitored, would either react with hostility or attempt formal communication. You simply incorporated it into your civilization and carried on. We are actually quite flattered that you found us interesting enough to study, Engineer Takeda said cheerfully. Though we'd love to know what you think of our television programming, we send so much of it into space. Soran and Threll exchanged pained glances. We should proceed to the council chambers, Threll said, clearly trying to regain control of the situation. The full council is waiting. As they moved through the station, Zoran watched with growing alarm as humans and aliens mingled freely. A group of Sauron diplomats were enthusiastically participating in something the humans called a conga line, while nearby, a human was teaching a fascinated group of multi-limbed arachnids how to play patty cake. This is a diplomatic disaster, Zoran muttered to Lyria. Is it, though? She replied thoughtfully. Look at them. I have never seen the Sauron so relaxed. They are actually having fun. That's what makes humans dangerous, Zoran insisted. They are disruptive, unplanned, chaotic. Maybe the galaxy could use a little chaos, Lyria suggested. Everything's been the same for so long. Zoran shot her a disapproving look. Don't tell me you are starting to like them. They grow on you, Lyria admitted. Like a fungus, but a friendly one. The Galactic Council chamber was a vast circular room with tiered seating accommodating representatives from all Confederation species. Normally a place of austere dignity, today it was buzzing with unusual energy as the Council prepared to officially acknowledge humanity's entrance onto the galactic stage. Captain Duval and her officers stood at the center of the chamber, surrounded by the holographic and physical forms of the Council members. Zoran and his crew took their places among the military observers. Ambassador Threll, serving as Council Speaker, brought the session to order. We are convened today to address the emergence of humanity beyond their quarantine boundaries. While this represents a significant deviation from established protocols, the Council has determined that adaptation is preferable to conflict. The Krith representative sparkled with barely contained agitation. Before we proceed, we must understand how they defeated our containment measures. Admiral Zoran, your report mentioned a crashed vessel of unknown origin. Have we identified this vessel? All eyes turned to Zoran, who cleared his throat uncomfortably. Our preliminary investigation suggests it was a scout ship from the Viridian Collective. A shocked murmur swept through the chamber. The Viridians, notorious for their disregard of Confederation regulations, had apparently been conducting unauthorized observations of Earth. And now their carelessness has unleashed humans on the galaxy, the Sauron representative hissed. Typical Viridian irresponsibility. Isketland sighed. Captain Duval stepped forward. If I may address the Council? We understand our arrival was unexpected, but we come with peaceful intentions. Humanity is eager to join the galactic community, to learn from your collective wisdom, and to contribute our own unique perspectives. And what exactly do humans bring to the Confederation? Asked the Morphean representative skeptically. Your technology is borrowed, your civilization young, your planet still bearing the scars of your own conflicts. Duval smiled confidently. We bring adaptability, creativity, and a fresh perspective. We have survived and thrived on a planet with extreme climate variations, multiple apex predators, and countless natural disasters. We have unified despite our differences. We have explored every corner of our world simply because it was there to explore. And most importantly, we never, ever give up. The council chamber fell silent as the representatives contemplated her words. There is wisdom in what the human says, the ancient arboreal representative rustled, speaking for the first time. Our Confederation has grown stagnant in many ways. Perhaps this disruption is precisely what we need. Or perhaps it will destroy millennia of careful order. Countered the Krith representative. As the council debated, Zoran's attention was drawn to a commotion at the chamber entrance. Dr. Venn, the xenopsychologist, burst in, looking even more disheveled than before. Admiral, council members, I have made a crucial discovery about the humans, he announced. Dr. Venn, this is highly irregular, Threll began, but the doctor cut him off. The humans' psychological profiles show something extraordinary. Their curiosity and sociability aren't just personality traits. They are evolutionary strategies. They formed complex social structures not just within their own tribes but across their entire species. They explore not just for resources but for the sake of exploration itself. How is this relevant? The Krith representative demanded. Venn's eye stalks quivered with excitement. Because it means quarantine was always going to fail eventually. Their entire evolutionary history has prepared them to seek out and connect with the unknown. It's not just what they do, it's who they are. The council chamber erupted in chaos following Dr. Venn's declaration. Representatives argued furiously among themselves, some insisting that humans must be contained by any means necessary, others arguing that integration was inevitable and should be managed rather than resisted. Admiral Zoran, watching from the sidelines, found himself strangely torn. His entire career had been built on maintaining order in the galaxy, following the protocols established by the Confederation over thousands of years. The humans represented a fundamental challenge to that order. And yet, observing Captain Duval and her crew as they stood calmly in the center of the storm they had created, he couldn't help but feel a grudging respect. Ambassador Threll finally managed to restore order by expanding to 3 times his normal size, a rarely used gesture of absolute authority that immediately silenced the chamber. We will proceed methodically, Threll announced. Dr. Venn, explain your findings in detail. The disheveled xenopsychologist stepped forward. My analysis of human psychology reveals something we have overlooked. We have been treating their curiosity and adaptability as dangerous anomalies, but they are actually fundamental survival strategies. Humans didn't evolve as the strongest, fastest, or most environmentally adaptable species on their planet. Instead, they survived through cooperation, communication, and curiosity. But surely other species evolved similar traits, objected the Soran representative. What makes humans different? Scale and intensity, Venn replied. Most species develop cooperative behaviors within tribal or family units. Humans extended these behaviors to encompass billions of individuals across vastly different geographical regions and belief systems. Most species explore until their needs are met. Humans explore simply because something exists to be discovered. Captain Duval nodded in agreement. It's true. We have spent incalculable resources sending probes to the edges of our solar system with no practical benefit beyond knowing what's there. And this is why quarantine was always doomed to fail, Venn continued. By placing observation satellites around Earth, we essentially told humans, there's something interesting out here. For any other species, that might have been tolerable. For humans, it was an irresistible invitation. The council fell silent, contemplating this new perspective. Finally, the ancient arboreal representative spoke again, his voice like rustling leaves. If what Dr. Venn says is true, then our approach has been fundamentally flawed. Perhaps instead of containing humans, we should be directing their energy. Direct humans? Scoffed the Krith representative. You might as well try to direct a solar flare. Actually, interjected engineer Takeda, we do redirect solar flares. We built magnetic deflector arrays to protect our satellites. The Krith representative glittered in what might have been embarrassment. Ambassador Threll pulsed thoughtfully. What the arboreal suggests has merit. If humans cannot be contained, perhaps they can be channeled. What if we offered humanity a role within the Confederation? One that makes use of their unique qualities? What kind of role? Captain Duval asked, intrigued. Exploration, Threll suggested. The Confederation maintains strict protocols about contacting new species, investigating anomalies, and exploring uncharted regions. These protocols have kept us safe, but have also perhaps limited our growth. Humans could serve as our vanguard. You want us to be your scouts? Duval clarified, a slow smile spreading across her face. To go where no one has gone before. Under Confederation guidance, and with proper protocols, Threll emphasized, your natural curiosity would be an asset rather than a liability. The Council representatives began talking excitedly among themselves. Even the Krith seemed to be warming to the idea, their crystalline forms sparkling with new possibilities. There's more, added Dr. Venn. Humans have a remarkable ability to form connections with diverse species. Just look at what they have accomplished in a few days on this station. They have engaged with species that have historically remained isolated from galactic society. Zoran, listening to all this, finally stepped forward. Council members, if I may speak. When I first encountered Captain Duval's ship, I saw humans as a threat to galactic order. I believed, as many of us did, that the first rule existed for good reason. He turned to look at the human delegation, but perhaps the rule itself was flawed. Don't touch the humans assumes humans are something to be feared rather than understood. In just a short time, these humans have challenged assumptions that have gone unquestioned for centuries. Maybe that's exactly what the Confederation needs. The chamber was silent, all eyes on the formerly by-the-book admiral who had just endorsed galactic disruption. Ambassador Threll expanded slightly in what appeared to be the gelatinous equivalent of clearing one's throat. Then it is decided. The Council will draft a new protocol for human integration into the Confederation, with special emphasis on exploration, cultural exchange, and diplomatic initiatives where their unique perspectives might prove valuable. Captain Duval stepped forward. On behalf of humanity, we accept this honor and responsibility. We promise to try not to break too many more of your rules, at least not without good reason. The formal council session dissolved into something resembling a celebration as representatives broke protocol to directly engage with the humans. Zoran found himself standing slightly apart, watching as his ordered vision of the galaxy transformed before his eyes. Commander Lyria joined him. You did the right thing, sir. Did I? Zoran asked, his antennae drooping slightly. Or did I just endorse the greatest disruption to galactic stability in 10,000 years? Probably both, Lyria replied with unexpected humor. But Dr. Venn is right. The humans were going to find their way to us eventually. Better to incorporate them than to fight the inevitable. Across the chamber, Captain Duval was engaged in animated conversation with representatives from 3 different species, while Engineer Takeda was showing a fascinated group of technical specialists something on a datapad that was making them gesture excitedly. They adapt so quickly, Zoran observed. It's almost alarming. It's their gift, said a voice behind them. Dr. Venn had joined them, looking more composed than earlier. And now it's ours as well. The Confederation has been stable for millennia, but stability without growth leads to stagnation. The humans are exactly the catalyst we didn't know we needed. 6 months later, Admiral Zoran stood on the observation deck of Central Station, watching as a fleet of new vessels prepared to depart. The ships were a unique hybrid of Confederation and human design, built specifically for the newly formed Joint Exploration Initiative. Captain Duval, now wearing the dual insignia of Earth and the Confederation, joined him at the viewport. Having second thoughts about recommending me to lead the initiative, Admiral? Zoran's antennae twitched with amusement. Several, but also a curious sense of anticipation. Your species has already changed the Confederation more in 6 months than it changed in the previous century. Change isn't always bad, Duval pointed out. The cultural exchange programs are flourishing, and I hear the Galactic Council is actually making decisions in half the time it used to take. Yes, ever since you introduced them to the concept of coffee breaks and brainstorming sessions. Zoran shook his head in wonder. Your Earth beverages have revolutionized our bureaucracy. Just wait until they discover karaoke, Duval said with a mischievous grin. Zoran's eye stalks extended in horror. Please tell me you are practicing that human concept of sarcasm. Duval just smiled and changed the subject. Our first mission takes us beyond the Sagittarius Arm. The long-range scanners have detected unusual energy signatures that don't match any known civilization. Remember the protocols, Zoran said automatically, then caught himself. But also remember why we chose humans for this initiative. Your perspective sees possibilities where we see only procedures. The perfect balance, Duval agreed. Your wisdom and our enthusiasm. As they watched the final preparations for departure, Zoran reflected on the irony of it all. The first rule, don't touch the humans, had been created out of fear of the unpredictable, the chaotic, the different. But in breaking that rule, the galaxy had gained something it didn't know it was missing. You know, Zoran said thoughtfully, we may need to create a new rule to replace the old one. Oh? Duval raised an eyebrow. What did you have in mind? Something like, when the humans suggest an idea that sounds completely insane, at least consider it before saying no. Duval laughed, the sound echoing across the observation deck. I think that's a rule we can all live with. As the exploration fleet departed into the vast unknown, Admiral Zoran couldn't help but feel that the galaxy was about to become a much more interesting place for better or worse. The first rule had been broken, but perhaps it had needed breaking all along.